Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Coach Red, where we bring you all the news, stories, takes, and opinions about your favorite teams from the Pacific North, fresh from the good to the bad to the Mariners.
The sweet, sweet Mariners.
Mariners did something a little crazy. They had a bad part of a week, but ended it with good. It wasn't a full week of bad or a full week of good. It was a little bit of both.
That's true.
And this next week is starting off hot, the lead up to the All-Star break. But before we dive too deep into the Mariners, why don't I tell you a little bit about us? If you're looking for a guy that actually has a All-Star game MVP trophy, Yakima Mexican League All-Star MVP right here. That's me, your boy, Coach Red. You can find me on Twitter at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real underscore Coach Red. Also, hop on over to YouTube, search Kicking It with Coach Red, like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, leave a comment or two. And while you're at it, follow the podcast page on Twitter and Insta at Coach Red Pod. Follows. Do it freaking do it. And if you are looking for a guy that would be in an all-star contest for how many Oscar Mayer wieners he could fit in his mouth in one time, it's your boy Cade. Just kidding.
Guess that's me.
We got Joey Chestnut Jr. over here.
Yeah, I'm Kane. You can find me on Twitter at Kane2406, on YouTube at Kane06, TikTok and Twitch or Kick now. Sorry, no longer on Twitch. Kane0624.
Mariners interesting week. Go 1-2 against the Nationals, go 2-1 against the Rays, and have started off 2-0 against the Giants, and are currently down 1-0 as we record right now. So, a little bit about the National Series. Game one looks great.
It looked phenomenal. It's what I expected. The Nationals are not a very good team.
They're scrappy. They're kind of like the Mariners of 3 years ago. Like, it wasn't fun to play the Mariners. You were probably going to win, but it wasn't fun to play them.
Right. They're just a team that has a bunch of young guys that still are trying to figure it out. Game one, like you said, looked great. 1-8-4. Bats were on fire. Loved every second of it. Pitching looked great. Then we went to game two. Pitchers got shelled and they put up 7. Mariners bats fell apart. Couldn't really pick it back up in the end there. Just kind of on par at this point, right? You have a good game and then you lose a game. Then they go to game 3, lose 4-1. Just absolutely looked like a ghost town
Terrible.
out there. You lose 4-1 to a, as you said, scrappy team, but they're honestly a dog shit team.
The Mariners looked
So
bad. I think they only had like 2 or 3 hits that game too. It was
yeah,
bad.
it's and
It was the
it's
first
not
time like
like
Patrick Corbin had pitched into the 8th inning in like 5 years.
right. It's like Patrick Corbin is like him and Steven Strasburg were both frauds for that team and had one good year. And then he come out and just absolutely demolish the Mariners. And it was so unsettling to see because he's not good.
Yeah, and then you go into the first game against the Rays and you knock out Shane McClanahan in 3 innings. And then Bryce Miller has to leave because of a blister. And then
Then they forgot to play
all hell breaks loose.
forgot how to play baseball. Is how
So
it
you
turned out
went
to be.
from losing 2 in a row to the Nationals to absolutely getting shellacked while knocking out one of the best pitchers in baseball in 3 innings. I was not excited about that at all.
No, no. I don't remember what I was doing, but I think I was streaming and then talking to Ben, and he kept telling me, "Oh my God, there's so many runs happening right now," and it's just like
But
don't even
guess
care.
what? The tides they were a changing.
That's true. Go to game 2 in the series.
Just a bunch of scrappy wins by the Mariners. It looked like the Mariners of last year. You know, you look at in particular, I would say that during Saturday's game, that one felt a little bit better about, but like Sunday was the one where Luis Castillo's on the bump, gets named to the All-Star team, he's getting hit around early. Mariners claw back early and then win late in typical Mariners fashion, with the go-ahead run being by hit by pitch.
Yes, and one thing that I want to add is Teoscar Hernandez is an animal and has been nothing but great in the last 28 days. Basically, all of June, he was amazing. And well, I don't have my glasses on because there's a reflection. I can't push him up to be Statosaurus Rex, but here we go. Last 28 games for Teo, 306 batting average, 12 runs, 6 doubles, 6 home runs, 21 RBIs.
Pretty good little month.
That is fantastic. That's the guy they went out and traded for. That's the guy they hope they will have the rest of the year. And he's been looking great. He really turned it around. So,
and big shout out in those 2 Rays games to Paul Sewell getting a 5-out save and then following it up and shutting the door in the 9th on Sunday. It was good to see from Paul. Then you go to the Giants series. Game 1, 2-2 late. Mariners pour on 4 runs in the top of the 9th. Paul Sewell comes out for a 3rd day in a row with a ton of pitches on his arms. I did not know why they brought him in. It baffled me. Gives up a 3-run tater. Their catcher was the only guy that scored that was the RBI producer in that game. He had a 2-run dinger and a 3-run dinger.
That is true.
And big shout out to Brian Wu, pitching very well in front of his hometown squad.
Yeah, I want to go to last night's game.
Wasn't a night game. It was a day game.
The day Jose Caballero was a menace.
That was Monday night.
Camilo Duvall. That was hilarious.
Duvall had never given up 4 runs in any outing. The dude's rocking a 1.38 ERA going into really that good inning.
But he also changed his arm slot. So
yeah, congratulations to him on taking that L.
Yeah. Jose Caballero steals second with ease and then gets
3rd with even more ease than second.
Well, because he got picked off twice, and you can't pick off a 3rd time or else it's a balk.
Nope. That was a new hitter that came up. Colton Wong was up, I believe, and was going to bunt. And first time they kind of did the wheel play where third base is still crashing, but shortstop was covering. Well, third base crashed. Caballero's way ahead. Pitcher's already started his motion. He walked into third base.
He was halfway before he even threw the ball.
Yeah, it was great. And then he ground ball goes to first, baits a throw over to third, safe, and then Julio Rodriguez just slaps a double into the corner.
Yeah, it was great. Good to see. It was good to see.
All started with Mike Ford walk. It's like Mike Ford week. Dude's batting like 400 in the last week. And his birthday is July 4th. Big day, homer, 2 doubles, triple short of the cycle. Me and the rest of the team were yelling at him to go for third on his second double. He probably would have been out, but you take the risk anyways.
Right.
But what about Logan Gilbert? Complete game shutout.
Shutties. Love to see it. It was a needed game from good old Walter.
Your bullpen was beyond taxed from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Yes.
You were hoping that he would get deep into a game, and he didn't disappoint.
We'll love to see it. Like I said, it was a needed performance from Walter.
And also in the midst of that, Chris Flexen, we talked about him getting DFA'd on the last episode. He ends up getting traded along with Trevor Gott to the Mets, and the Mets DFA'd Flexen, basically just eating a salary to get Trevor Gott. And we get Lefty, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, who had also just been DFA'd and has 3 major league innings to his name.
Yep.
No, six major leagues in innings, and he's given up 6 runs.
Yes. So
Not great.
No, it is not.
But I think you're trying to get out of paying Flexen. It's not my favorite move. It doesn't bode well for Mariners fans who are pissed off about the team leading in revenue, but not perceivedly paying money, and just kind of seemed like a way, because Trevor Gott was average to above average for us for this year, and basically giving up a year and a half of Trevor Gott to save $4 million was a little rough. But on the flip side of that coin, you're getting some stuff out of relievers that you weren't anticipating, like Ty Adcock and Taylor Saucedo and Gabe Spire are all pitching very well.
Yes, I agree with that. Spire had looked a little rocky to start, but has kind of found his way.
He looked phenomenal to start.
Another guy that what was his name? Crap. It was like Justin Topa. I like Justin Topa. I think he's been phenomenal. I believe I saw he had like a 1 or 2 ERA.
Yeah. No, the whole bullpen's actually performing well and kind of gives you the luxury to do that. And that kind of led us to think, the Mariners trading off a piece. We talked before about trade candidates. We want to say a couple of guys that we think the Mariners could trade leading up to the deadline. We're each going to give a position player and a pitcher that we think could be dealt, and might not say what we're going to get in return. We might. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. But we're going to start off with position player of choice. Kane, who do you think the Mariners position player that will be traded is? Who?
So I'm going off of if they're selling. And I believe their position player that they can get value from is Ty France. I love Ty France. You love Ty France. We know Lefty loves Ty France. It's great.
They have the same last name for Denny's sake.
He is great for this Mariners team, but you also have to realize that this team is not performing well up to the halfway point of the year. And one of your players that has been very good this year is Ty France. He's got great defense. He's got a great stick. I think if a contender wanted him, and I'm not saying he's going for a top 5 in a farm system, but you could at least get maybe a top 10 guy for him and maybe a reliever or 2.
I think it's a little bit tougher with Ty France because with him being a first base DH type, the average is there, but the power is not necessarily what you like to see out of a first baseman. So I think that limits the market value that he has.
I think you can see this for like a team in the Central that's trying to make a big playoff push. Maybe like, let's say the Minnesota Twins, for example, and they would send somebody in their system, maybe a pitcher, maybe a hitter that's projected to be something decent. You know what I mean? This isn't like you're going to a Yankees or the Rays or, some team that's clear number 1 seed, don't really need to make much improvement. I think this is a team that needs to have a guy who they'll slot him in more 6-7 role and just be that guy that delivers. You know what I mean? That's the reason I'm seeing Ty France, just because he adds value to teams. And I think he's a big run producer if these players are in scoring positions. And right now they're having him hit 2 or 3. It's not the most ideal thing for Ty France.
In my opinion, be a good 5-6 hitter.
Yeah. So I could see him going to a Central team, or he wouldn't go in division. No way. But like the AL or NL Central, or you can maybe group him with something in the Brewers and go for Christian Yelich.
Yeah.
So, what about you, Coach Red?
My position player of choice would be Tom Murphy. And the
Okay.
reason I say Tom Murphy is getting hot right before this. It's a little reminiscent of a little guy named Austin Nola that got us Ty France and Andres Munoz. And Christian Javier last year got traded for like 2 top 5 prospects. And Tom Murphy has the stick and control of the pitching staff to be an everyday type guy. With
Yes.
him being injured last year and the rise of Cal Raleigh, come back down to earth a little bit this year. But Tom Murphy's been getting extended playing time. He's produced. And I think it's twofold. One, I think that this can give you a good ceiling type prospect. You might get someone a little bit with a higher floor than you would get in, say, like a Ty France deal. Plus, I think Jerry Dipoto is going to do a little bit of like buying and sell, like he did a few years back, like when he traded Graveman for Toro,
Right.
but then like buys other people. So it's going to be like a weird year for that kind of stuff. I think just because they are so. I heard it on the broadcast today, and it was by Aaron Goldschmidt said it, and it just epitomizes what the Mariners have been all year. The Mariners have not won more than 4 games in a row, and they have not lost more than 4 games in a row. And
it's just tough to see.
It is tough, but it's kind of the nature of the beast. You just got to get hot at the right time and go on a little bit of a streak. And I think that giving up Tom Murphy does hurt the team a little bit, but in AAA right now, Brian O'Keefe sitting pretty well. He's got like 16 dingers on the year, and granted, the PCL's pretty hitter friendly, but he was a call up last year. He was the starting DH the day after they clinched when I believe someone was on paternity leave, and he did get a base hit. I was at the game.
There you go.
I, along with multiple Mariners, were still very hungover that day, but Brian O'Keefe was not, and he got a base knock. And he's played well, and I think that you're hoping that Cal kind of picks up some steam as the year goes along. Maybe get some extra at bats for Tom right now. Give Cal a little bit of a reset, so that way when he comes back to catching 4 to 5 games a week, that he is fresh, got that mindset, gets that mini reset. So I think I contemplated Teo, but I think the one thing that pushes me off that is because I don't think that they're going to be in like full sell mode, and you don't really have a player that can take that spot over. Granted, you might get your best prospect out of that deal, but then you're basically, it's a move that signals that you're giving up on the year, and I don't think that the Mariners want to show that to the fans.
I agree.
All right. Who is the pitcher that you think could be dealt?
Here is my pitcher. It is Andres Munoz. And I think that Munoz, out of anybody on this team, gets you the most back because he is a certified unit, and he has been amazing since coming back from injury. Absolutely shut down. And when we traded Edwin Diaz all those years ago, I was upset because, the dude, 50 plus saves, and I think it was 51. And it was one of the greatest closer roles that you've seen from just about anybody in the last couple of years. And it was absolutely devastating. But, you got JK, got a couple other guys. And I think Munoz goes into a team that would like to move their closer to the setup role. And I think they could bring Munoz in to the end of a game and absolutely just mow him down. I just think it's the bang for your buck, really. And you're going to get some pretty decent prospects. Maybe you throw in like a Taylor Trammell or one of those other bench guys, and you can get a pretty decent haul for it. Coach Red, what are your thoughts?
I hate it.
I know you would, but
I hate it a lot. How much club control do the Mariners have with Andres Munoz? He's what, 24, maybe 25. He's under contract for the rest of this year plus 2 additional years after that. And then he's got 3 years of club options. That's 5.5 years of club control with a guy that throws over 100 and has one of the best whiff rates on a slider. This is the closer of your future that you're going to trade. Like, the return that you would have to get would almost be similar, just slightly less prospect laden than what you gave up for Luis Castillo right now at this point. Because Munoz has shown that he can do it in higher leverage situations. Paul Sewald has the rest of this year and next year on the team under contract and is not getting any younger. Munoz is the future closer of this team. You cannot trade Munoz because you don't have anyone else in the pen that can pump it like that.
No,
it's a game changer.
It's just that was what my heart of hearts felt for a compelling idea for the pod.
Man,
Coach Red,
you want the Mariners to just have the number one farm system again. Last time I checked, number one farm system does not win a World Series.
No, it does not. Coach Red, who's your pitcher?
I'm going to trade Emerson Hancock. I thought about guys on
Yeah, you know what? That was my thought too, but I didn't want to
go full sell mode either. So, like, if I were to pick a guy that is on the roster, it'd break my heart to do it, it'd be Paul Sewald. That's on the 40-man right now and with the big league squad, because I do think that you could get a pretty decent return for Sewald. You would get a top 10 prospect guaranteed because you still have a year and a half with him. Yeah, you can give up the home run ball, but when it comes to one-run situations, he's nails. When he has a lead, he doesn't have that same pressure on himself. One-run games, I'm not scared about Paul Sewald doing anything but shutting them down. And I think that's seen pretty well around the league right now. But Emerson Hancock is the guy because I think that they will make a swing for a player. And I'm going to throw out a guy that I think might be a little too rich for the blood of the Mariners. But I think if you center something around it, I was trying to think of ways to get Ohtani, but I don't think that it's possible. They're not going to trade in division. Plus, you're not going to give up the prospect haul unless you were a clear cut, like, gunning at the top of the division type of thing.
He's gonna also sign with you in the offseason.
Yeah, that's
not worth it.
Part. So I want to put a guy by the name of Paul Goldschmidt.
I like it already
because it seems like the Cardinals are willing to give up some bats for pitching. I would even venture to throw in Wu or Miller in with this deal.
Okay.
And I'd want to get a pitching prospect in return as well. And then, possibly throwing in, a minor league infielder to round out the deal. But Paul Goldschmidt is a stud, and the Cardinals aren't where they expected, and he's not going to get younger. So you're going to sit there, you're looking, are you going to get that bounce back next year? Or are you too far away? Because their pitching staff hasn't been very good. They need better arms. And they're typically not the team that pays over the top in free agency. They'll trade and extend. They'll trade for a guy and extend him like they did for Goldschmidt, for Nolan Arenado.
Mm-hmm.
But when they've went after guys, I believe it was Hayward that they went and splurged on, didn't work out for them. They don't have track record in that, but they'll have a good track record for trading for guys and developing them up. So I think a major league ready pitcher plus Emerson Hancock, who's not too far away, and potentially a position player could net you a guy that is either your first baseman or DH for the next year plus. And it gives you leverage in case Ty France does walk in free agency next year, that you have an established first baseman because they don't have one in the minors that they can call up. You're going to be searching for a first baseman. And like you
Oh,
said,
what
with Ty
about
France
the?
going on the board, you've got Evan White, but he can't stay healthy.
That's right. Good old 8-year contract for the guy.
It's not much money.
I don't care.
The
I
dude
don't
does hit
care.
lasers though.
Well, yeah, when he hits.
Yeah, when
When's
he's not
that?
hurt. When he's not hurt, that's when he hits.
God, that dude's been disappointing. But I would love to see Goldschmidt on the team. And you gotta realize that this is a dude coming off the National League MVP.
And he
The
started off slow. He's picked it up a
he
little
played
bit.
very well in the WBC, but a lot of the players that played in the WBC have started off very, very slow.
Yep. And I think that he's a good veteran piece. And I saw, Nelson Cruz getting DFA'd. Is he going to give you more? I love the leadership with Nelson, and I've seen both sides of the coin. Mike Ford's hot right now. Can he keep it up? I'm not sure. But Mike Ford doesn't give you much in the way of putting him in the field, and neither does Nelson Cruz. So you can't really have both of them on the team. And I love Nelson. I think that he's great. He's been better as of late, but I think that it's just tough to have two DH types on this team in particular.
I agree.
But I don't feel the same way that if Paul Goldschmidt comes on this team, Mike Ford can lose all the at-bats and you could trade him like we did Vogelback.
Exactly.
The contender. He's hot right now. Trade him. You get Paul Goldschmidt in, that $4 million that you saved, he's due 11 mil. I think he's at 22 mil a year is the contract that he's under. So you got 11 mil for the rest of the year. So you're taking on some salary, but
it also helps you in the off season too, because you're like, oh, they have Paul Goldschmidt. Okay, let's try to run this thing in Seattle.
They have Julio. I mean, if you could bring Ty France back at that point to be your everyday DH and spell Goldschmidt at first,
yeah,
get out of here.
All day.
That's bananas.
All day.
I mean, it's a piece that I think could be available. And at that point, you're probably putting Goldschmidt at 3 spot. You can, or Julio. I mean, Julio can get out of that 2 spot. I think keep JP at 1, but like your 2, 3, 4, 5 guys are Goldschmidt, Teo, Julio, and France. Put them in whatever order you want. Mm-hmm. I like it. I like it a lot.
I do too.
And if you like this podcast a lot, why don't you hop over and follow us on social media? Maybe you follow someone like me, your boy Coach Red, on Twitter at The Real Coach Red, on Instagram at The Real _Coach Red. Search at us on the YouTubes. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, leave a comment or 2. While you're at it, check out the podcast page at Coach Red Pod on Twitter and Insta. Follow us. Do it, freaking do it. Kane, where you at one more time?
You can find me on Twitter at Kane2406, on YouTube at Kane06, and TikTok and Kick at Kane0624.
Hey, and as always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, peeps.
Peace.